This particular demo deals with independent sample t-tests or unpaired t-tests. So when we're talking about t-tests, we're talking about related variables, for example, before and after measures. With independent samples t-tests, we're dealing with unrelated measures. So for example, people from two different schools, or in the example we're going to talk about performance ratings for people who were promoted versus those who were not promoted. So they're different people, so they're unrelated measures. Okay, so again, in this example, we're going to use an independent samples t-test to determine whether ratings for those who were promoted are significantly different from the performance ratings for those who were not promoted. So our variable here, promoted, is what we're going to look at. We're going to see if performance ratings differed for people who were promoted or not promoted. We need to look at the promoted variable to see how it was coded, and we can see that it was coded with a 0 or a 1, so people who were not promoted are zeros, and those who were promoted were given a score of 1, and we need that information in order to run the t-test properly. And you can get this information in variable view. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to analyze this data. So we're going to do compare means, independent samples t-test. Again, we're looking at unrelated variables. In this case, people who were promoted and who were not promoted. And again, we looked it up to see how it was defined, and it was 0 for not promoted, 1 for promoted. And we're going to look at differences in their performance rating scores. Okay, so then simply click OK, and that will run the analysis. When we run that analysis, we get our overall means in this group statistics box, and we get the results in the bigger box called independent samples test. If we look at the mean scores, it does look like there is a fairly big difference. 4.24 is the mean for those who were promoted, and for those who were not promoted, the mean is 2.04. So the first thing we need to do with reporting an independent samples test is to look at the Levene's test, and if the significance is greater than 0.05, which in this case it is, 0.292, it means that we can assume there were equal variance. This is the one time we do want our significance to be more than 0.05. So we can go ahead and look at the row called equal variance is assumed now because this was not significant. So that means our t-value is negative 10.272, degrees of freedom 48, and significance value of 0.000. So when we write that up, we get a new screen. Okay, and we're going to say a significant difference was found between those who were promoted, because our significance is less than 0.01 here, so it is a significant difference. Let's see, performance rating for those who were promoted was 4.24. Equals 4.24, standard deviation equals 0.779, n equals 25, was found in the performance ratings of those who were promoted over those who were not promoted. Mean equals 2.04, which which we find right here. Standard deviation equals 0.735. Again, that n is 25. And our t-value is, degrees of freedom is 48. And the t-value is negative 10.272, p less than 0.01. Again, 10.272. And when it's 0, our p-value is less than 0.001 because it can never be exactly 0. So go ahead and give it a go with your independent samples t-test, and be sure to choose your correct variables. Other than that, all the information should be here that you need for your